Hold up. Wait a minute.
Bruh.
Did you hit the like button? Drop some rabbits in the chat. Let's go.
Hit that like, hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat, hit chat. Hit that like, hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. If you want the tea, come see me. Rabbit hole is the place to be for real news, not fake news. Celebrity news, breaking news around the clock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock, I rock, I rock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock. Hit that like, hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat, hit chat. Hit that like, hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop some drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. True crime is my specialty. Exposing the industry. Unsolved mysteries. Sticking to reality. Fair use commentary. Talking about cults. Trying to get results. Exploring cults. Exploring. Researching. Debunking. Investigating. Being nosy. Super nosy. Being messy. Being shady. Rabbit hole news. That's me. The chick with ADHD. Unmedicated. But quite educated. Hit that like. Hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat. Hit chat. Hit that like. Hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Hit that like. Hit that like. Let's go. Let's go. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
I like that a lot. ADHD gang. Yes, my friend. Shout out to everybody in the chat, guys. Welcome back to the live. Welcome, guys. Make sure you guys have your notifications on all. We will be live tomorrow, yet again in the early morning, doing the damn thing and reporting as things are happening. First of all, let me shout out to my wonderful, beautiful donors and everybody. We were able to get, we had the transcripts for last week. We got them for Monday, Tuesday, and we're working for them tonight. We had to do some phone calls and do different things. Shout out to the people and welcome everybody. And as things are happening, I'll let you guys know, like, guys, you know, if you can support one way or another, we're going to make it happen. Okay. You love the courtroom? I love it too. I'm working overtime. Judge, except I don't got my robe. The robe has to take a little bit of a break sometimes. You know what I mean? Like the robe it gets a little hot in there. All right. I cannot all the time. So, welcome, Katie. Thank you so much for being a member for 5 months. Shout out to you, my love. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, guys, we have so much to review right now. This is a live stream. I was like, you know, I think when it comes to Dawn Richard and her testifying, her cross-examination, it is best for us to talk about it live. It is best for us to review it. Okay, it really is. So we're going to do that right now, today, right now. We got Fridays and then we got Mondays. Dawn Richard, for those that don't know, who is that? Who is that lady? She was in Dirty Diddy Money. She was in Danity Kane, you know, the Making the Band. This was a time frame in my life where I was like, you know, being introduced to reality TV show to a certain degree, even though it's been around for a while. But Dawn Richard, let's go back a little bit on Monday. Dawn Richard, in my opinion, did not do very well on the stand. The defense basically went in there and called out all her credibility, called out her lawsuit because she did sue Diddy independently. Okay. So this is one thing, like she set herself up to a certain degree. And I will say this, I said, you know, I definitely believe that Dawn saw a lot, but she didn't do very well on the stand. She didn't do very well on the stand. Rabbit, you say Dawn correctly. I said it Dawn correctly. Dawn Richard didn't do very well on the stand. If I was a juror member and I knew nothing about Diddy, I would be concerned about Dawn Richard. I'm not going to lie to you. I would be very concerned about the things that she's doing and she's saying. And yeah, that's how I see it. So why don't we get into it, guys? Oh my gosh. And you already know we're gonna get some of the trolls. We'll figure it out with you. Everybody's welcome to an opinion here. I'm not blocking your opinion. If you believe that Diddy is a innocent man, that you are entitled to your opinion. If you don't agree with somebody in here, there's this thing called the three dots right next to a person's name. You can block the person if it's getting a little too much. I would ask that. Okay, I don't expect my mods to silence everybody, because then we would be silencing everybody. We don't want to do that. We want to allow in a difference of opinion. And it's with that, my friends, that we learn from each other. Right? Agreed? I think we should agree. Okay. So Don is your actual name? All right. Well, Tippy, shout out to you, Tippy. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. I would really appreciate it. So I figured, why don't we go ahead and start with Don on Friday? So on Friday of last week, which would have been, let me look at the calendar, y'all. I'm a calendar person. Friday of last week would have been the 16th. We had Cassie Ventura finish up Friday. We had a Homeland Security special agent who was actually the arresting officer who took those pictures of Diddy's hotel. That was him. And then we had Don Richard at the very end. So Don Richard got at the very tail end. And then, what is it? She finished up Monday. So we're going to do our best to finish everything on Don today. And hopefully you guys are able to, I'll put some timestamps for those that are watching the replay. If you're like, let's just get to the transcripts. All right. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button, because I am not going to be paying too much attention to the chat. Ooh, hold up. Baby Bunny's protesting. She sounds like she's mad. I'm not going to be paying too much attention to the chat because we have so much reading. So let's get into this right now. Okay, here we go. So this is, for those that don't know who Don is, this is Don right here. This is Diddy back in those days when they were in music together. Kalina Harper is the third member of Diddy Dirty Money. She's actually missing from this picture, but that is Don Richard right there. And this is Diddy, for those that don't know. Just giving you guys some context of who's on the picture. All right, so let's start with direct examination. Again, this is May 16th, and we had already had two witnesses basically testify, okay? And let's see. Let's get into this. That's the 19th. All right, let's get into the 16th, my friends. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button, please, and thank you. So the government calls witness Don Richard, who had been sworn in court on May 16th. The person doing direct examination is Miss Steiner for the government. Good afternoon, Miss Richard. Hello, how old are you? She's asked. 42 years old. Where are you from? I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. What, if any, musical background did you have growing up in New Orleans, Louisiana? I was a singer and a dancer, and my father was a singer as well. How far did you go in school? I have a bachelor's degree. Directing your attention to the time period from 2004 to 2011, were you working in the music industry at that time? Yes. Who were you working for? Puff, Sean Combs. When you say Puff, you signed to a particular label? I was signed to Bad Boy Records. Is that a company that was owned by Sean Combs? Yes. Miss Richard, do you see Mr. Combs in the courtroom today? Yes. And I'll ask that you identify him, please, by an article of clothing. The white or the cream? The court says, indicating the defendant. Okay, the questioning continues. Do you know Mr. Combs by any other name? I call him Puff. I will refer to him as Puff as well, for purposes of clarity. Without getting into any of the details, can you describe at a high level your employment for Puff during that time, during the period of time? I was part of a girl group called Danity Kane. The court then interrupts or interjects. Miss Stein, let's refer to him as Mr. Combs, please. So the court's like, I'm not really liking the way in which, let's keep it one Mr. Combs, okay? That's what we're going to call him, okay? Now, hold up. Let me make sure that I've shared this with everybody. Hold on 1 minute, y'all, because I don't think I did. Yes. 1 second. Where'd it go? Let me share this with everybody, because I don't want people that donated for the transcripts to miss this out. Okay. And let me remind everybody that we're live now. Thank you guys for hitting that like button. We live now. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Miss Stein continues with the questioning. Of course, Your Honor. She answers. Don Richard answers. I was part of a girl group, one of 5. I was one of the 5, and I was part of another girl group called Diddy Dirty Money. During your employment for Mr. Combs, did you meet any of his girlfriends? Yes, I did. Who did you meet? Cassie. Miss Stein asked Miss Gavin, who is the person in the court that's basically putting all the exhibits up, to put up an exhibit. Miss Richard, who is depicted in this image? That's Cassie. Approximately when did you first meet Cassie? In 2005? Did you continue to see Cassie after her meeting? Yes. And would you see her with Mr. Combs? Yes, I would. Approximately how often? Frequently, all the time. Directing your attention to now 2009, did you observe an incident between Mr. Combs and Cassie? Yes, I did. Can you describe that, what you observe generally? I observe Cassie being attacked. And when you say that Cassie was being attacked, who was she attacked by? She was attacked by Sean Combs. Again, at a high level, what did you observe of the attack? He came down the stairs screaming, belligerent, asking where his food was, and proceeded to hit her over the head and then kick her and beat her on the ground in front of us. After that incident, were there any other occasions when you observed Mr. Combs being physically violent with Cassie? Yes. How frequently? Often. Will you return to the abuse you observed in a moment? We will return to the abuse you observed in a moment. Agnifilo speaks. I'm going to object to characterization by the prosecution. The court says sustain. Okay, Ms. Steiner tells the court I can rephrase, all right? So they got to rephrase the question. Hold up, y'all. My hair's driving me crazy. We'll return to that topic in a moment. Ms. Richard, before we do, I want to ask you a few questions about your employment for Mr. Combs. You testified earlier that you were a member of a group called Diddy Dirty Money. Can you describe for the jury what Diddy Dirty Money is? It was an electoral soul trio, and it consists of myself, Kalina Harper, and Sean Combs. Miss Gavin, asking Miss Gavin to put some exhibits up. Do you recognize this image? Yes, I do. Generally, what does it depict? It's Diddy Dirty Money. Is it fair and accurate? Is it a fair and accurate depiction of the members of Diddy Dirty Money? Yes. Sorry, let me put my table down. Yes. Okay, so then the government offers exhibits of Agnifilo with no objection. The court enters the exhibits. Ms. Steiner then speaks and asks the questions, directs Ms. Gavin to publish those for the jury and continues the questioning. Ms. Richard, can you please describe who is depicted in the image? On the right is Kalina Harper. On the left is myself. And on the left is Sean Combs. Are those who were the members of Diddy Dirty Money? Yes. Approximately when you were a member of this group, when were you a member of this group? 2009 to 2011. Ms. Gavin, again, directing Ms. Gavin to take the exhibits down. When you were a member of the group Diddy Dirty Money, was Mr. Combs your boss? Yes, he was. How frequently did you interact with Mr. Combs? Frequently. And generally, where did you work when you were a member of Diddy Dirty Money? It varied. It could be the studio, it could be his home, and it could be in hotels as well. Where did Mr. Combs have homes or residence at that time? Los Angeles, New York, and Miami. You testified earlier about an incident that occurred in 2009 between Mr. Combs and Cassie. Do you recall that, Ms. Richard? I do. Where did that incident take place? In his Los Angeles home. And when you say he, are you referring to Mr. Combs? Sean Combs. Miss Gavin, again, Miss Gavin directed to publish exhibits, government exhibits, and then she thanks Miss Gavin, continues with the questioning. Miss Richard, do you recognize this image? I do. What is this image of? This is Sean Combs' LA home. At the time of this incident in 2009, why were you in Mr. Combs' residence? We were recording. And when you say we, who are you referring to? Kalina Harper and myself. Where in the home, generally, were you recording? At the bottom, lower level, he has a studio. Sean Combs has a studio at the bottom. Approximately what time of the day were you in the residence? It was nighttime. And at the time that you were there for purposes of recording, was Cassie in the house? She was. Where was she located? In the kitchen on the second level? Where were you located when Cassie was in the kitchen? Kalina and I were in the kitchen with her. Ooh. Kalina was present. All right, let me put that as a side note. All right, let me put a note here. It's an important marker. It is believed that Kalina took payment. That's why she's not talking. Kalina and I were in the kitchen with her. We can put this down. She's directing and telling Miss Gavin that they could put whatever exhibit they have down. Miss Richard, what, if anything, was Cassie doing in the kitchen? She was cooking breakfast. She was cooling eggs. And you said she was cooking. She says cooling? Did they meant to say cooking? I don't think she was cooling eggs, but okay. Let me highlight that. Cooling eggs? Cooking eggs? Pretty sure it's cooking eggs. She was cooking breakfast. She was cooking eggs. And when you said she was cooking breakfast, was she doing that at night? At night, yeah. Just to be clear, Anne, where was Mr. Combs at that time? He was at the top level, the floor above us. What did you observe Mr. Combs do? He came downstairs, angry, and was saying where the F was his eggs. Excuse my language. And he was telling Cassie that she never gets anything right. Where the F is his food. And he proceeded to come over to her and took the skillet with the eggs in it and tried to hit her over the head with it. And she fell to the ground. This is important wording right there, because we're going to refer back to that. Let me ask you a couple of questions about that. You testify that Mr. Combs grabbed a skillet of eggs, correct? Correct. Can you describe the skillet? It was a black skillet, just something you would cook eggs in, a flat pan. Can you describe the material? Like, a regular pan, a skillet that you would see at any store? I don't. And you said that he attempted to hit her. Is that correct? Correct. Where did he attempt to hit her with the skillet? Over the head. And you testified also that Cassie dropped to the ground. Is that correct? She fell to the ground. So did the skillet hit her? It didn't seem that he hit her fully. It seemed like she was anticipating it by going down. When you just said that Cassie dropped to the ground, can you describe specifically what she did? She went into fetal position. You could see that she was literally trying to hide her face or her head. Did you see Cassie respond with any physical force? No. Based on your observations of Cassie's interaction, so falling to the ground and going into the fetal position, what, if any, understanding did you have? Agnifilo interjects. I'm going to object to the form of question. The court interjects. Can you rephrase the question? Of course, Your Honor. Ms. Richard, you testified a moment ago that Cassie dropped to the ground. Is that correct? Correct. And assumed the fetal position? She did. Is that correct? That's correct. Did you have any understanding about why she did that? Agnifilo. Objection, Judge. This is just the witness's understanding, Your Honor, government says. The court. I think it's the why she did that portion of it. So perhaps you can use a different phrasing, of course. Back to questioning. How did Cassie react? She fell to the ground into fetal position, and it seemed like she was doing it. Agnifilo. I'm going to object to the answer and not responsive. The court. That's overruled. Ms. Steiner, you can answer, Ms. Richard. Ms. Steiner tells her you can answer. It seemed as if she was doing it as if it was something she did often. Agnifilo. I'm going to object to that as a non-responsive and move to strike it. The court. That's granted. The jury should disregard the witness's last statement. All right, let me stop right here. How's the chat doing? Let me know. I haven't looked at the chat. Are you guys doing okay? Yes. Shout out to everybody. Sorry. Welcome everybody. Thank you guys for being here. What is going on? Are y'all good? Let me know. I don't know about that. All right. Shout out to everybody. Okay, let me get back together. We are back to the scripts. Not was that over easy, nebulous. Thank you. Okay. So the government continues asking the questions. Ms. Richard, what happened after Cassie dropped to the ground in the fetal position? He started to punch her and kick her. And again, when you say he, who are you referring to? Sean Combs. Where was Mr. Combs kicking and punching Cassie? Her body and her head. After you observed Mr. Combs kicking and punching Cassie on the ground, what did you observe next? He proceeded to take his arm around her neck and put his hand in her hair and drag her upstairs to the first floor. What, if anything, did you hear from upstairs? Glass breaking and yelling? Ms. Richard, how did you react to seeing and hearing this? I was scared for her and scared to do anything in fear of what that might mean for me too. Ms. Richard, when you say you were scared of doing anything, did you intervene between Mr. Combs and Cassie? No. Did you call for law enforcement assistance? No. Why not? I had never seen anything like that before, and I didn't know what that would mean. I was scared of what that might mean for myself. Can you explain what you mean by that? He was punching his girlfriend. He was beating her in front of us. And I was scared if I intervened or did anything, that it might get worse. What, if anything, were you directed to do the next day? Sean called us to come in and record. When you say we, who are you referring to? Kalina and myself. Did you follow Mr. Combs' instructions? I did. What did Mr. Combs do once you and Kalina Harper arrived at his residence? He brought us into the recording studio and locked the door. What, if anything, did Mr. Combs tell you and Kalina in the locked recording studio? He said that what we saw was a passion and what lovers in relationships do. He said that she was okay and that it would be in our best interest if we didn't say anything. He was trying to take us to the top, and that where he comes from, people go missing if they say things like that. Like if people talk, and then he gave us flowers. Mr. Combs told you that people can end up missing. What did you understand him to be meaning? That people could die? Death? I don't know. It just seemed, Cassie, Mr. Agnifilo, I'm going to object to this entire line, Your Honor, and move to strike it. The government speaks. Your Honor, this is the defendant's statement. That is that she is explaining her understanding of the court. First of all, I think there needs to be an objection. If you like a sidebar to address the issue, you can request a sidebar. Yes, Judge Agnifilo. All right, let's have a sidebar. Ooh, y'all want to hear what happened at the sidebar? Let me know. Drop a rabbit in the chat if you want to hear what happened at the sidebar. Because in the sidebar is when they really get to it, or do you want to go straight to her statements? Let me know. How nosy is everybody? Let me drop a one in the chat if you want to hear what happened at the sidebar. Or do you want to go straight to Don Richard's statements? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Drop a one in the chat if you want to hear the sidebar. All right. Let's get nosy. All right. I see a lot of ones. Sidebar. All right. Guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, please, and thank you. This is what happened at the sidebar. The court. What is the objection? Agnifilo. First of all, I think this is getting into forbidden territory. This is part of forced labor, Your Honor, ruled by could not get into. Ruled they could not get into. This is part of forced labor, Your Honor, ruled they could not get into. There's no other relevance to what's going on in the recording studio other than that. So I think, first of all, it runs afoul on the court's ruling and it's unduly prejudicial. It's not relevant to any of the charges. The court looks at the government. Ms. Steiner speaks. Your Honor, this is describing the witness's mental state in response to a threat made to her directly by the defendant. It's an act of attempted obstruction. And as she's going to continue to testify, threats such as this were always in the back of her mind when she was observing this by the defendants, and was a primary reason why she did not take other actions in response to what she observed. It's also directly relevant to what has been alleged in the government's indictment about the way the defendant would make use of threats in response to individuals attempting to intervene with his conduct. And this was squarely within what the government described as being part of this case. Agnifilo, if I could, Agnifilo is speaking. This is not charged as obstructive conduct. If the government is saying that this is part of the obstruction count, that's news to me. This is, okay, the court interjects. Oh, shut up, attorneys. The court is talking. Let me raise this question. It is now 4:55. So at this point, given that this issue has arisen, although not to be broken record, not to be a broken record, but this seems like the kind of thing that would have been raised on a motion and on not in a limelight. Understanding that Ms. Richard was going to testify, that was clarified as late as April 25th conference, where Ms. Johnson specifically said Ms. Richard is going to testify. At that time, the defense would have had questions about what the scope of the testimony would be, which they could have raised at the time. So let's take our recess for the weekend. We can address briefly the issue. We'll see what we can do about it. Okay. All right. So this is what, okay, cool. So the court, members of the jury, we're going to stay and keep working here, but you're off for the weekend. This is when it gets done. All right. But the attorneys are still working. I want to say on behalf of everyone, thank you so much for your hard work this weekend. Yada, yada, yada. Y'all have a good barbecue. Go watch the Knicks play. Okay. And just a reminder, Monday, everybody's asked to be there. Okay. So again, this is the transcripts for, let me look at the calendar again, the 16th of May. All right. So they let them go. Now we have more court discussions, which I'm not going to review here. If I might do a separate video on this. Okay. But because this is just the attorneys, I want to go to Don Richard's statement. So we're going to go directly to what happened on Monday. Now, hold up. Let me make sure. Pretty sure she's not in direct anymore. Here, Miss Comey, the court, Miss Comey, yada, yada, yada. Don Richard had already left by then. Okay, and this is what happens. There's so much that happens after court, after everybody leaves. Okay, now let's get into Monday, the 19th. Let's go. Let's do a little switch. Remove. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button, please. And thank you. Let me share the screen. Let's see, the 19th. Here we go. Hopefully y'all can see it. Okay. Welcome everybody. Yeah, no, shut your trap. The cheese man on the sidebar is very good. Is very, very good. The judge is like, all right, shut up. Well, here's the deal. The court had to, please remind yourselves, we talked about this Monday. The court had to write rules for these attorneys. The court had to like fuck around and find out, here are the rules. This is what's gonna happen. This is what we're gonna get done. Because here's the deal, is that Agnifilo and defense, I would say probably both of them were doing this. There were times where like they're bringing like here's an example of that. This was something that we're supposed to figure it out and on the 25th, and they didn't. Okay, so what does that do? Delays the process, delays everything. Okay, so yeah, this is important, and I'll review that other side to figure out if I'm going to do a video on that. But like I said, this video would be 3 hours if I just read every single thing. But I want to get right to the statements, right to the meat and potatoes of it. Okay, so let's go. So it is now May 19th, Monday, May 19th. We're starting. Okay, Dawn Richard is back. She is still resuming her direct examination by the prosecution. They weren't done. Okay, let's get it together. Yes, there was a lot of delays. All right, guys. Thank you. Yes, La Jueza Rabita. Thank you. Hit the like button, please, and thank you. Let's get it together. So she, again, comes in. Direct examination by Ms. Steiner. Good morning, Ms. Richard. Good morning. Before the weekend, you testified. Here we go. Before the weekend, you testified regarding an incident involving an egg skillet in 2009 at Mr. Cohn's residence. Do you recall that? Yes. If you can just, the court stops and said, please speak up. Sorry. So it sounds like Don Richard wasn't speaking up to the mic. You also testified that the following day, Mr. Combs called you back to his residence and made a certain statements to you. Do you recall that? Yes. Can you please remind the jury the statements that Mr. Combs made to you at that time? That the relationships that he had, that the incident was of passion and that Cassie was okay, and that if we say anything, that we could go missing. When Mr. Combs told you, and hold up, when Mr. Combs told you, and I believe it was Miss Harper, Kalina Harper, that you could go missing, what did you understand him to mean? Objection. Miss Westmoreland is here. Objection, Your Honor. The court, it's overruled that we could die, Richard answered. Ms. Richard, how did you react when Mr. Combs threatened you in this matter? I didn't react at all. I was shocked, but also scared because it was our first time really getting started to record. And that was my first time really being in a group with everyone. And I couldn't believe that this would be the beginning of the journey for us. The group you're referring to, Ms. Richard, Dirty Money? Dirty Money. Following the incident in Mr. Combs' residence in 2009, did you continue to see Ms. Ventura while you were a member of Dirty Money? I did. Generally, where would you see her? In the studio, in hotels, events that we would have, performances we would have, and in the house as well? Generally, how frequently would you see Ms. Ventura? Frequently. After the incident in Mr. Combs' Los Angeles residence, were there other occasions where you observed acts of violence between Mr. Combs and Ms. Ventura? Yes. How frequently did you observe Mr. Combs being violent with Ms. Ventura? Frequently. Can you please describe for the jury what you observed generally? He would punch her, choke her, drag her, slap her in the mouth. I saw him kick her, punch her in the stomach. Prior to witnessing those incidents, were you able to observe the interactions between Mr. Combs and Ms. Ventura? Yes. And generally, based on your observations, what would prompt these acts of violence? Objection. It's overruled. Okay. Answer. Dawn answers. It varied. It could be Cass speaking up for herself. It could be random, like we wouldn't even know where it came from. It could be if she wanted to perform or she had an opinion about something. It just varied. And when you state that it happens sometimes when Miss Ventura would speak up for herself, can you describe what you mean by that? Cass is like quiet. She would be quiet. She had a quiet demeanor. She was soft. And then she would have these moments of like trying to be stick up for herself, trying to be more for herself, and he wasn't having that. He would hurt her for it. And when you refer to him, are you referring to Mr. Combs? Yes. Who, if anyone, from Mr. Combs' staff was present for these incidents of violence? Well, that varied too. It could be anywhere from Harv Pierre to Capricorn Clark to Mia to D-Rock to Bonds. It depends. Generally, at a high level, can you describe the roles that Capricorn Clark and Mia served for the defendant? They were assistants and also head of marketing, like brand work. He also testified that members from his security staff would observe these incidents. Is that correct? Yes. And objection, Miss Westmoreland objects. Your Honor, may we have a time context to any of this testimony? The court says, hold on. Objection. Thank you. Is that an objection? Yes, Miss Westmoreland says. Miss Steiner, can you rephrase the question? Yes, Your Honor. By Miss Steiner. Continue the direct examination. Hold up. Let me make sure I'm putting markers here so I know where I'm leaving off and making sure y'all are hitting that like button. Please and thank you. I'd appreciate it. Where are we doing on the likes? Let me know. Pika, are we doing okay on the likes? Let me know. Here we go. Whew. Here we go. Miss Richard, Miss Richard, you testified that the first incident of violence that you observed between Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura was in 2009. Is that correct? Right. And approximately when was the last incident? You said the last incident of violence. Which one? Let me rephrase my question. You said you also observed violence frequently thereafter. Is that right? Yes, yes. And that continued throughout the period of time in which you were a member of Dirty Diddy Money. Yes. And were you a member of Dirty Diddy Money from 2009 through 2011? Correct. And did those incidents of violence continue throughout that period of time? There's a typo here. Yes. Can you specify, Ms. Richard, who from Mr. Combs' security staff witnessed incidents of violence? D-Rock and Bonds? Okay, so Ms. Becker, who is putting up the exhibits for the government, is mentioned here. She's telling them to put some exhibits. Ms. Richard, do you recognize this image? I do. Who is this? It's D-Rock. And can you please describe what D-Rock's role was for Mr. Combs? He was a bodyguard. He was also really close to Puff. Like they were close, like brothers. Okay, Ms. Becker's being asked to bring up some other exhibits into evidence. Ms. Richard, do you recognize this image? Yes. Who is depicted in it? That's Bonds. What was Bonds' role for Mr. Combs? Security. Okay. Ms. Steiner tells what's her name? I forgot her name. Ms. Becker to take that down. The exhibits. Here's the question. The D-Rock and the Bonds, did D-Rock and Bonds work for Mr. Combs the entire time you were a member of Dirty Diddy Money? Yes. How would D-Rock and Bonds react to incidents of violence that you observe? They wouldn't react. They wouldn't do anything. Did you ever observe Miss Ventura with injuries after these instances of abuse? Yes. Where on her body? Her face. When her face. When I say her face, her eyes, her lips, her arms, and her knees. How, if at all, would Miss Ventura attempt to cover up or hide these injuries? Um, Makeup, clothing, sometimes sunglasses. Did there ever come a time later in 2009 when you were in New York for a festival performance? Yeah, we were in Central Park. Which festival was this? I don't know where, I don't know the name of it, but we were announcing our group. It was in Central Park. Again, the group is Diddy Dirty Money, Diddy Dirty Money. And in connection with the festival, was there a time that you and Miss Ventura and Mr. Combs were in Mr. Combs' New York residence? Correct. Where is the residence located? In New York City. Who else, if anyone, was present? Kalina, Harper, Cassie, and myself. What happened while you were in the residence? Kalina and I, we were in the bathroom getting ready, doing our makeup, and Puffy and Cassie were in the hallway arguing. What did you observe happen next? He punched her in the face. When you say he, are you referring to Mr. Combs? Sean Combs punched her in the face. Did he punch her with an open or closed fist? It was a closed fist. After Mr. Combs punched Miss Ventura in the face with the closed fist, how did she respond? She came into the bathroom crying. He walked off angry, and she came in the bathroom. And we were with her, and it was really quiet. You could see her. You could see her upset. Like, she was hurt. She was embarrassed. Objection. Miss Westmoreland objects. Court says that's sustained. The jury should disregard that last sentence of the witness's answer. Okay, the questioning continues. All right, 1 second, y'all. Let me move this a little bit. What, if any, injuries did you observe on Miss Ventura at that time? Her eye was swelling. What, if anything, did you observe Miss Ventura to do try and cover up that injury? I think they meant there's a typo here. What, if anything, did you observe Miss Ventura do to cover up the injury? She started doing her makeup to try to hide it. Did she do anything else to cover up the injury? She wore glasses. She wore sunglasses that day. Why did she wear sunglasses? She wanted to hide the swelling. Objection from Miss Westmoreland. Court says sustained. Questioning continues. Miss Richard, did you remain with Miss Ventura after this incident? Yes. Why did you remain with her? I wanted her to feel supported. She wanted to be with us. We wanted to have her back. Ms. Becker, again, instructing Ms. Becker to bring up a court exhibit. Ms. Richard, the questioning continues. Do you recognize this image? I do. Generally, what does it depict? It's us at the Central Park Festival together in New York. It is a fair and accurate Is it a fair and accurate depiction of that day? Of that. Is it a fair and accurate depiction of that? Yes. So Ms. Steiner enters some government exhibits. No objections. Ms. Westmoreland says no. Government exhibits are entered into the court. Ms. Richard, what was this image taken later in the day following that incident? Yes. Can you please describe, or can we publish that for the jury? So Ms. Steiner's directing direction to the publisher of evidence. Question again. Can you please describe who is depicted in this photograph? On the left is Kalina Harper, and in the middle is myself, and to the right is Cassie. And it appears in this photo that the three of you are wearing sunglasses. Why are you all wearing sunglasses? Objection. Ms. Westmoreland objects. Ms. Steiner looks at the court and says, I can rephrase, Your Honor. Okay. Ms. Richard, what are you wearing in this photograph? I'm wearing sunglasses. And what is Ms. Harper wearing? She's wearing sunglasses. What is Ms. Ventura wearing? She's wearing sunglasses. Are those the sunglasses you observed her put on in the bathroom? Yes. Why are the three of you? Why did you objection, Miss Westmoreland? Why did you decide to wear sunglasses that day? To have solidarity, to be a friend, to be a support system for someone who needed it? You can take this down, directing the exhibits to be taken down. Ms. Richard, directing your attention now to the following year in 2010, did there come a time that you were in a restaurant in West Hollywood, California with Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura? Yes. What happened at the restaurant? Mr. Combs punched Cassie in the stomach. Can you please describe what you observed leading up to that incident? We were having a private conversation and we were all sitting, eating at the tables together. When I say we, I mean some bad boy, some of our other label, and even some celebrities were in the room. And they were secretly arguing. And he punched her in the stomach. Sean Combs punched her in the stomach. How, if at all, did Miss Ventura respond when she was punched in the stomach? She immediately bent over, and then he told her to leave because I could see him point out that she went out and left the room. Who, if any, of Mr. Combs' employees were present? Harv Pierre, Capricorn Clark, Mia, D-Rock, Bonds, myself, and Kalina Harper. Okay, directing Ms. Becker to bring up exhibits. Ms. Richard, do you recognize this image? I do. What is it? Or what is it? This is Harv Pierre. Is it that a fair and accurate depiction of Mr. Pierre? Yes. Ms. Steiner directing for government exhibits to be offered. Ms. Westmoreland has no objection. The court enters the exhibits. Ms. Steiner speaks and tells Ms. Becker to publish exhibits for the jury. More questioning from Ms. Steiner. Ms. Richard, hold up, y'all. Let me take a drink. Are you guys good? Do me a favor, please. Hit the like button. Hey, Luigi, how are you, my love? It's getting deep, guys. So self-care, if you need to log off, because this is when it really gets to the deep part, okay? We're going to try to fly through as best as we can. Ms. Richard, generally, who was Mr. Pierre? He was the president of Bad Boy Records. Who, if any, did he report to at Bad Boy? Objection, Miss Westmoreland objects. Can you rephrase the question? Of course. Ms. Richard, you said that Mr. Pierre was the president of Bad Boy. Is that correct? Correct. Does that mean he was your boss? He wasn't my boss. He was just the boss of Bad Boy. My boss was Puff, Sean Combs. Mr. Combs? Yeah. And did you observe Mr. Combs and Mr. Pierre? And did you observe Mr. Combs and Mr. Pierre while at Bad Boy together? Yes. Did you have an understanding of what Mr. Pierre's role was at Bad Boy? Yeah. Yes, he answered to Puff or Sean Combs. What, if anything, did Mr. Pierre or the other employees present do to intervene after the incident? They didn't. No one intervened. We didn't. When did you see Miss Ventura? When did you next see Miss Ventura? We got in the car together to head back to the LA house. Who was present in the car? Kalina, myself, Cassie, Puff, and D-Rock. Can you please describe where everyone was positioned in the car? Yes. Kalina and I it was like a Sprinter. So like a BMW Sprinter. So we were sitting facing them, if that makes sense. So it was Kalina and I, then Puff and Cass, and then D-Rock was in the front. Was D-Rock driving? He was driving, yeah. Was anyone speaking in the car? Cass and Puff were arguing. And what generally were they discussing? Cass was embarrassed, and she was telling him like he shouldn't have done that in public, and she felt embarrassed. Objection! Miss Westmoreland objects. The court says sustain. How did Mr. Combs respond? He grabbed her by the neck and popped her in. He slapped her in the mouth and told her to shut the F up. You say that he popped her in the mouth. What do you mean by that? Like an open hand slap to the mouth? How did Miss Ventura respond after she was hit in the mouth? She looked outside like the window and everybody was quiet for the rest of the ride. How, if at all, did D-Rock respond? He didn't. Miss Richard, what, if anything, would you discuss with Miss Ventura about her music career? Cass had big dreams. She really loved objection. Miss Westmoreland objects. The court asks, the basis? It's for the effect on the listener, Your Honor, not for its truth. This is what the government is saying. Like, this is for the listener, not for its truth. All right, it's overruled. Okay. She wanted to put out her album, and I told her I would write for her. She wanted to do more modeling. She wanted to do well with her career, and I, myself and Kalina, we encouraged her to do that. We wanted to support her in any way that we could. Did you observe any discussions between Miss Ventura and Mr. Combs about those career goals? Yes. And how, if at all, would Mr. Combs respond in those discussions? Objection. Miss Westmoreland objects. The court responds, it's overruled. Mr. Combs didn't like that we knew or we talked to Cassie, and oftentimes he would pay for it. And oftentimes we would pay for it. Ms. Richard, can you describe... Hold up. I just want to stop you for a moment. So after she says, and oftentimes we would pay for it, question, I just want to stop you for a moment. Ms. Richard, can you describe what, if anything, you recall Mr. Combs saying to Ms. Ventura in those discussions? That it would be on his time, like it was coming, but when we say it would come, he would also tell her like he owned her, like this was I do this. It was very much like when I'm ready for you, you'll do it. And it was always wait for her. Like she had to wait her time. Would Mr. Combs ever be upset in these discussions? Objection. Westmoreland objects. Can you rephrase? Ms. Steiner continues. Thank you, Your Honor. What was Mr. Combs' demeanor in these discussions? That varied. Sometimes it was just a moment of like, wait, your turn? And it was regular. And then other times it was violent and volatile. And then we would have to see that. What, if anything, would Mr. Combs say when he became violent or volatile? It varied too. I mean, whether that was him hitting her or calling her out of her name or telling her, like, it was he owned her in that moment or her decisions. That would be what it would be. Ms. Richard, what, if anything, would you tell Ms. Ventura after witnessing acts of physical abuse? We told her that she should leave. Objection. Grounds. Hearsay. We. Ms. Westmoreland. Hearsay. We. The court. I think, Ms. Steiner, you could probably rephrase the question to avoid the objection. Thank you, Your Honor. Questioning continues. Ms. Richard, can you please answer? Just limit it to you specifically. Yeah. Thank you. I told her she should leave. How would Miss Ventura react when you told her to leave? Cassie looked torn. Like she would listen, but I could see the fear. Objection. Sustain. Question continues. If you know, Miss Richard, was Mr. Combs later made aware of these discussions? Yes. And what, if anything, did Mr. Combs tell you after these discussions? He didn't like it when Kalina and I would talk to Cass because she would tell him, and then he would come and we would pay for it. And I guess I paid for it. Specifically, what, if anything, do you recall Mr. Combs telling you? Oh man, stay the F out of my relationship. You are here to work. Your beaches are here to work, not to be part of my relationship. And you mother effers don't know real work, man. What, if any, threats would Mr. Combs make to you? That it would be, or else we would pay for it. That was always, y'all going to pay for it or keep doing it, all right? That's that kind of thing. It's always you do this or else something bad will happen to you. It was always that, like a threat, that if you didn't stay in line, there was consequences. What was Mr. Combs' demeanor when he made these threats? That varied. Again, sometimes it was a stern, like, moment to say it, and other times it was loud, angry, violent, and like it's mean. It was mean. It was mean. Did anyone else speak to you specifically about your discussions with Miss Ventura? Yes. Who was that? Harv Pierre. And what, if anything, would Mr. Pierre tell you? Harv said it gets dark and lonely. And Mr. Combs used to say this too. It gets dark and lonely if you don't listen. It was very much like, y'all need to listen to him. Y'all don't want to deal with what happens if you don't. And that was stated by Harv and Mr. Combs. What did you understand that when Mr. Pierre and Mr. Combs said it gets dark and lonely? Objection. It's overruled. I had seen and witnessed brutality in a way that I had to believe that if the person that was supposedly in love with did what he did to her, what would he do to an employee? I imagine it would be worse than that. How did you respond to these threats? My thought was to be as kind as possible. Like, I tried to please. I saw that if you spoke out, looked like, so I would oftentimes approach Mr. Combs like with softness and like, hey, hi, how are you? And it was always very much like, if I do it this way, I maybe will have a better chance that that he'll look the other way. Did you continue to try to intervene in Mr. Combs' relationship? No. I made a decision that it would be best for me, for my safety, for the safety of myself. No, I made a decision that it would be best for the safety of myself to not interfere, not intervene, because I don't think she was ready to really do anything. Objection. Ms. Westmoreland objects. Ms. Steiner, I'm prepared to turn to a new topic, Your Honor. The court. I didn't even hear the objection, so must be a problem with the microphone. What was the objection? What were the grounds? Speculation, says the defense. That's overruled. Ms. Steiner, you may proceed. Ms. Steiner says, okay, thank you, Your Honor. Hold up. Let me see. How's everybody doing? Welcome, everybody. Y'all okay? Hold up. Do I have... Thank you so much, Luigi, my love, for the $4.99. I'm sorry I missed it. I totally missed it. I'm like just reading these transcripts. I hope you guys are doing well. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button, please, and thank you. I appreciate it. Remonetization bucks are always welcome. Okay, let's keep reading this, all right? I'm going to try to get here. I mean, this is me getting a little bit ahead. You guys are good? Thank you. All right. Y'all, Jeanette, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate this. Sorry, guys, I'm really not looking at the chat. Thank you. You said you're grinding your teeth. Are you guys okay? Let me know. Everybody okay? Because this is for those that are coming in. I'm gonna try to do as much as I can. If I can't get to the defense side, that's gonna be a pre-recorded. But I feel good that I'm getting ahead of this. Okay. I thought it was important to find out what Don Richard said at the stand, so I thought it was important. So Jeanette, thank you so much for this. Luigi, thank you for this. I appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Thank you, I wonder. Thank you, everybody. All right. Whew. To get in that moment, man. Can you imagine being in the court? I'd be on my seat with this one. Okay. Where did we leave off at? Okay, I'm looking at the wrong transcripts. Wrong transcripts. Okay. So, thank you, Your Honor. Okay. While you were employed by Mr. Combs, so the prosecution continues, did you ever observe him using drugs? Yes. What kind of drugs? Weed, ketamine, cocaine, Molly, E. Approximately how often did you observe him taking those drugs? Often. Generally, where would he take these substances? The studio or the house? How often, if at all, did you observe him taking opioids? I never really saw him take opioids. Who, if anyone, would deliver the drugs to the studio? There was this guy named One Stop that used to come in the studio. Miss Becker, again, Miss Becker to publish exhibits. We need exhibits up, okay? Miss Richard, do you recognize this image? Yes. What does it depict? That's One Stop. Is that a fair and accurate depiction of One Stop? It is. Okay, so Miss Steiner continues with offering exhibits. Miss Westmoreland has no objection. The court enters the exhibits. Okay, exhibits are published. What type of drugs did One Stop sell? That very too. The reason why they call him that, objection. Okay. Don Richard says, okay, after the defense objects. Court says, that's sustained. Hold on. I'm sorry. Government continues with its questioning. What type of drugs did you observe One Stop selling? Cocaine, Plan B, birth control, weed, E, Molly, like everything. Did he deliver drugs to Mr. Combs? He did. Where would he deliver the drugs? In the studio? We can take that down. She's directing the people that put up the exhibits. Where did Mr. Combs generally store the drugs he received? He had objection. Objection from the defense. Ms. Steiner, can you rephrase? Thank you, Your Honor. She's rephrasing. Ms. Richard, did you observe Mr. Combs take possession of the drugs that were delivered? Yes. Did you observe where he stored the drugs? Yeah. He had this Louis Vuitton pouch, travel toiletry bag that he would put the drugs in. When, if at all, would you observe Mr. Combs traveling with that Louis Vuitton pouch? The Louis Vuitton pouch went everywhere from domestic to overseas. Would you observe carrying the Louis Vuitton pouch? It would be his assistant or himself. Did Mr. Combs ever offer you drugs? Yes. Did you ever take them? I only smoke weed. Did you observe Mr. Combs offer anyone else drugs? Yes. Who did you observe him offer drugs to? Kalina Harper and Cassie. You've been testifying about observing Mr. Combs receiving drugs in the studio. Did you observe him consume those drugs in the studio? Yes. While he was taking drugs in the studio, was he also working? Yes. What type of work was he doing? It could be anything from album stuff to his business corporations and things he had going on. While you were working for Mr. Combs, when, if ever, did you see him with a weapon on his person? A few times. What kind of weapon did you observe on his person? It looked like a handgun. Approximately, when did you first see Mr. Combs with a handgun? In the studio. When you say in the studio, was that when you working for Dirty Diddy Money? Correct. Where in time did your employment for Dirty Diddy Money did you first observe the handgun? In 2009, going into 2010. Generally, where would you observe Mr. Combs carrying the handgun? In the lower waist, in his back? You said that you observed Mr. Combs with a handgun in the studio. Is that correct? Correct. Did you observe him carrying the handgun in any other locations? If we went to to a club after, if we went to a club after studio, who, if anyone else working for Mr. Combs, carried handguns or guns? His bodyguard. And specifically, which bodyguard? D Rock and Bonds? And generally, where would D Rock and Bonds carry those firearms? In the same place, the lower back? How, if at all, did you observe how, if at all, did your observations of Mr. Combs and his security with handguns affect you? Objection. The court says overruled. Hold up. Let me see what's going on here. Perfect. Sorry, I got an email. Overruled. Question continues. Fear. You have to know your environment. And it was fearful every day to be in to understand like what that meant. It was just that was the kind of environment I was in. Ms. Richard, did there ever come a time when you felt like your employee? Hold up. Ms. Richard, did there ever come a time when you left your employment for Mr. Combs? Yes. Approximately when was that? 2011. Generally, what did you do after leaving Bad Boys? What do you mean? Did you work after leaving Bad Boys? Yeah. Generally, what kind of work did you do? It was the same. Did Mr. Combs remain in contact after you left Bad Boy? Yes. Can you describe generally when he would be in touch? Every time I was kind of like getting a little momentum in my career, there would be a FaceTime call. And if you didn't answer that, then someone else would call. And if you didn't answer that, then someone else would call. And finally, you would get on a call and make contact. And so it would be every so often. Another time he contacted me for the possibility of using an old song. I'm going to stop you right here, Ms. Richard. When you said someone else would contact you when you didn't pick up immediately, who would those individuals be? His assistant and management? And when you had these discussions with Mr. Combs, how would you interact with him? Again, the smartest way to talk. Because, again, the smartest way to talk, because it was the way I felt was the safest, was to always be pleasant, very kind, almost calling him bro all the time. Hi, bro. Very much like that. When you initially left your employment for Mr. Combs, did you disclose the abuse that you had observed? No. Why not? Before I left, I was told to come in and that the only way I could, I'm going to stop you right here, right there, Ms. Richard. Without getting into that conversation, can you just describe more generally why you did not disclose what you had? I was told not to. Who told you not to? Mr. Combs and Harve Pierre? Did there later come a time when you did decide to speak publicly about what you witnessed? Yes. Approximately when was that? 2024? What, if anything, changed your willingness to be public with what you had experienced? I saw Cassie finally take the stand and tell the truth. Objection. Move to strike. The court says the objection is sustained. The jury should disregard this witness's last answer. Ms. Stein continues. Excuse me, Ms. Stein, Ms. Stein, you can ask a question phrased differently to avoid the objection. Okay. Ms. Richard, did you observe Ms. Ventura file a civil lawsuit around that time? I did. Did you yourself file a civil lawsuit against Mr. Combs around that time? I did. Is the civil lawsuit that you filed primarily related to Mr. Combs' treatment of you? Yes. And these claims in your civil lawsuits based on Mr. Combs' conduct towards you? Objection, Your Honor. Court responds. That's sustained. You can rephrase the question. You testified just now, Ms. Richard, that your civil lawsuit is based on Mr. Combs' treatment of you specifically. Is that correct? Correct. And in your testimony here today and on Friday before the weekend, have you talked about Mr. Combs' treatment of you during your testimony, or have you focused on his treatment of others? His treatment of others. Objection. Another objection. That's overruled. Ms. Richard, is your lawsuit against Mr. Combs still pending? It is. And are you aware of the details of any settlement negotiations with Mr. Combs? No, I'm not. Are you aware of how much money, if at all, has been requested to settle the suit? No, I'm not. As a result of your testimony here today, Ms. Richard, are you expecting any compensation? I'm expecting justice. Are you expecting any compensation, Ms. Richard, from your testimony? No. Ms. Stein, no further questions, Your Honor. Okay, cross-examination. All right, let me stop right here. This is going to be a pre-recorded right over here. I'm going to mark this right now so I know where I left off. Ooh-wee. So this is the thing we did not get when we were hearing Don Richard. Okay? You say, how do y'all feel? This was Don Richard's side. We didn't hear that side. Where's everybody at? Let me know. How do you said coercive? Bill, how are you? I haven't seen you. I hope you're doing well, Bill. Oh my goodness. Where do you guys stand? Oh my God. You said amen? Well, how did I do? Everything okay? Did I do okay? Let me know. By the way, we have the transcripts already from today. So that's going to be interesting. Let me just say that. Where do you guys stand? How do you guys feel? This I feel like did not even really, I wonder, I haven't even read. I'm going to have to do a pre-recorded on the defense because that's going to be interesting. You think she did well, Didi? Even though, like, some of us, we got the second hand that her credit. We haven't heard the defense yet. So you guys got to wait for the defense. The defense discredited her. She was discredited on the stand. We saw it, but we didn't read the real details in there. But Dawn said, she's like, I want justice. I want justice. That's what she said she wants. What do y'all think? Let me know. Oh, that was a deep read, but the cross-examination should be good. Girl, been here. Are you okay? But I'm like, I'm at the end of my seat. Was it riveting? What we missed? Absolutely. This definitely fills in and brought a lot together. Wait until the defense. This is why we get the transcripts. Thank you to everyone that helped, or else we would have never known that part. We wouldn't have known what and I mean, that's the journalist interpretation. So I want you guys to stay put for part 2. Now I'm still working on, I have to finish Cassie's stuff. I hope to finish it by like this weekend, but that's longer, guys. Now I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself and I feel a little bit better. We are going to read how the defense basically jumped on Don Richard's, okay? Let me know. Thank you, Diddy Docket. Thank you for sharing my stuff. I appreciate it. But this was Monday. We just got these today. Thank you guys for those that donated for those transcripts. That was amazing. I wouldn't be able to do any of this if it wasn't for your guys' help. So thank you. Sylvia, thank you so much again for reminding people. This is why it's important. I'm invested in hearing the outcome of this. And because I'm invested, I want to know the truth. I'm not there. But the little transcripts that we have could really be helpful. Okay? No, thank you guys. All right, guys. I got to go because I got to get some rest because tomorrow we're going to be grinding again. We got to go. Okay? Keep an eye open for part 2. It will be an upload. And part 2 will be the cross-examination with Westmoreland and Don Richard. And you guys let me know what you think. All right, I will see you guys later. Hit the like button. Bye, guys. And thank you, everybody who super chatted. Y'all are amazing. Bye, guys. Bye.